Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session on accounting for amalgamation, absorption, and external reconstruction. In the last semester, you had discussed a topic about internal reconstruction, and in this term, now it's amalgamation of companies, what is meaning by absorption, and what is understood by external reconstruction, and how do we account for these accounting transactions. This is going to be the focus of our discussion today. Let us begin with some of the basics and then we'll switch over to the accounting aspects. In the earlier years, you had discussed about amalgamation of partnership firms. Now, in the same way, we are going to discuss what are the issues governing the amalgamation of companies. First, let's have a look at differences between these three terms because we are using three terms: amalgamation, absorption, and external reconstruction. There is a subtle difference between these three terms, and therefore we need to understand these differences very carefully. If you look at the concept of amalgamation, it says in amalgamation, a new company is formed to take over the business of two or more old companies. That means you have two companies or more companies in existence, which are old companies. We also call them as vendor companies. And in terms of amalgamation, under the scheme of amalgamation, a new company is getting formed with a specific objective of taking over the business of these old companies. That's the concept of amalgamation. Now, in the technical jargon or accounting jargon, we call these old companies as vendor companies, and the new company is known as a purchasing company. Now, in the process of amalgamation, what happens to the old companies? Whenever their business, asset, liabilities are transferred to new company, the old companies stand liquidated. So we are going to liquidate the old companies. And there is a new company which is getting formed for this purpose. To give you an example, suppose you have a company called as A Limited and another company called as B Limited. They have decided to amalgamate, and for this purpose, C Limited, a new company, is being formed. Now, the C Limited is a new company or purchasing company. A Limited and B Limited, they will be known as vendor companies. So, in the process of amalgamation, A Limited as well as B Limited will be liquidated, and C Limited will take over the business of A Limited and B Limited along with its assets, liabilities, etc., as per the terms of amalgamation. So, this is what is meant by amalgamation. Then we will try to find out what is the concept of absorption. Now, in case of absorption, there is an existing company which is going to take over the business of another existing company. So very importantly, there is no formation of new company if we are looking at absorption. In this case, the old company is also called as vendor company, and the company which is going to take over the business, which is already an existing company, is known as a purchasing company. As in case of amalgamation, here also the old company will be liquidated. But there is no formation of new company in this particular case. We are not going to form a new company in this case for this purpose. So this is the concept of absorption. Then we go over to the external reconstruction. Now, usually external reconstruction is resorted whenever you are handling the sick companies or loss-making companies or which are undergoing financial stress. Now, here what happens? You are forming a new company which is going to take over the business of existing company. So, unlike in case of earlier case like absorption, here there will be a formation of new company which will take over the business of existing company. The old company, we call it as a vendor company, and the new company is known as a purchasing company for this purpose. As I told you, these old companies are many a times loss-making or sick companies. So these will be liquidated in the process, and a new company will be formed to take over the business of the old company, which is undergoing some kind of a stress, either due to carried forward losses, financial issues, or any such other reason. So these are the three different terms which are usually used when we think of amalgamation, absorption, and external reconstruction. Now let us have an overview and reference to Accounting Standard 14. Now we are not going to discuss detailed technical provisions either of AS 14 or of Companies Act for this purpose. Our entire focus is to understand the conceptual framework dealing with amalgamation, followed by the accounting for amalgamation in the books of old companies, that is vendor company, as well as a new company. So we will refer only to few of the issues from AS 14. AS 14 says, what is an amalgamation? It says amalgamation means an amalgamation as per Companies Act 2013 or any other statute and includes a merger. So we are referring to the definition available under Companies Act or for that matter any other statute, and it will also include a case of a merger. Now as per AS 14, the transferor company means the vendor company, and transferee company means the purchasing company. So two terms are used in AS 14. Vendor company is called as transferor company, and the purchasing company is known as a transferee company. Now AS 14 talks about amalgamation of two different types. One is amalgamation in the nature of merger, and the second one, the amalgamation by way of purchase. What is amalgamation in the nature of merger? In case of amalgamation in the nature of merger, both the acquired and acquiring companies merge and they become a single entity. All the assets and liabilities are merged, and shareholders of acquired companies become the shareholders of acquiring company. If all these conditions are met, then we call that amalgamation as the one which is in the nature of a merger. Whereas there is another way, that is amalgamation by way of purchase. What happens in this case? Amalgamation by way of purchase means one company acquires another company, but shareholders of the acquired company do not become shareholders of the acquiring company. So the conditions are slightly different when it comes to the amalgamation by way of purchase. Now in our case, we are going to discuss the accounting from the perspective of amalgamation by way of purchase and not in the nature of merger. So when it comes to the accounting, we'll be discussing it for amalgamation by way of purchase as such. So having referred to few key terms in AS 14, let us understand one more term, and that is called as purchase consideration. You must have heard of purchase consideration even in case of amalgamation of partnership firms. In case of amalgamation of companies, it means the aggregate amount of shares or other securities issued and payment by way of cash or other assets by the purchasing company to the shareholders of vendor company. In case of amalgamation, the vendor company is going to transfer its assets, liabilities, and the entire business as per the terms of amalgamation to the another company, to the purchasing company. So obviously, the purchasing company should pay some amount to the vendor company to discharge the consideration which is due to the shareholders. This amount is known as purchase consideration. So the aggregate amount of shares or other securities, which may include debentures, which are issued to the shareholders of vendor company, plus any monetary payment which can be made to the shareholders of vendor company, all put together will be known as a purchase consideration. Now, a very important issue. What is included in purchase consideration and what is excluded in purchase consideration? As I told you, It is the exclusive payment made to the shareholders of the vendor company by the purchasing company. That means our purchase consideration will exclude any payment made by purchasing company to discharge debenture holders, creditors, or any other liabilities of the vendor company. At the same time, if the vendor company is receiving any amount to pay off the expenses for winding up or liquidation, even such sums, such amounts also are excluded from the purchase consideration. Therefore, we have to be little careful when we calculate purchase consideration. We have to aggregate all the payments which are directed to the shareholders of vendor company, but the payments which are meant for debenture holders, other creditors, meant for other liabilities, or even for winding up expenses should not be included as part of purchase consideration. One more important point here, we are saying that it's a payment made by purchasing company to the shareholders of vendor company. Now that means vendor company, whether it has equity shares or apart from equity shares, there are preference shares, the aggregate of payment to both set of shareholders is a part of your purchase consideration. So payment to equity holders, payment to preference shareholders of vendor company in any form like shares, other securities, cash, etc., all put together will be considered as aggregate balance of aggregate amount of purchase consideration. The next question is, how do we calculate purchase consideration? There are two methodologies, two methods to calculate purchase consideration. One is called as net payment method. In net payment method, the aggregate of value of shares, cash, that is monetary payment, which is directed towards the shareholders of vendor company is aggregated, and this is known as a purchase consideration. So value of shares and monetary payments all put together, which are meant for shareholders of vendor company, is known as purchase consideration calculated by net payment method. Under net asset method, the purchase consideration will be equal to the values of assets taken over at the agreed values as reduced by values of liabilities which are taken over again at agreed values. So here your PC is essentially difference between agreed values of assets taken over as reduced by agreed values of liabilities which are taken over, and the difference between these two will be known as a purchase consideration. So whichever method you are following, either of the methods can be followed, but what is important is purchase consideration means the aggregate of payment directed towards the shareholders of vendor company, and some of the exclusions we have already discussed, so one should keep in mind those exclusions from purchase consideration as well. Now we come to the accounting in the books of vendor company. As I told you, we are not going to discuss technical provisions in detail. But our main focus will be how do we account for these transactions in the books of vendor company as well as in the books of purchasing company or the new company. That is going to be the focus of our discussion. Now, in case of vendor company, you will have the details of purchase consideration. You will have the balance sheet of the company drawn on the relevant date of liquidation. Based on this, we are going to prepare certain ledger accounts because we need to close the books of vendor company. Which ledger accounts we should prepare? We are going to prepare realization account, shareholders account. So there will be a separate account for equity shareholders. There will be a separate account for preference shareholders. You may have to prepare cash and bank account if there are any transactions which are going to affect the cash and bank positions. Then, as a part of purchase consideration, you will get shares, either equity or preference, or you will get debentures in the new company or purchasing company. So for each of them, we have to open a separate account. For example, equity shares in new company account, or debentures in new company account. These are accounts which are open for this purpose. And we have to also open a purchasing company account, that is new company account. So these are the usual accounts which are prepared in the books of vendor company. Now step by step we will understand how do we account for amalgamation in the books of vendor company. Now when we discuss the amalgamation in the books of vendor company, we are going to consider that on the basis of purchase method. That means the discussion that will follow now is based on the assumption that we are following purchase method for amalgamation. So under the purchase method of amalgamation, let us move ahead step by step to discuss the entries in the books of vendor company. The first step is to transfer all assets and liabilities as per the balance sheet to realization account. So when you are transferring assets, the entry will be realization account debit to assets account. Now the question you may have is, which are the assets which we should transfer? We should transfer all fixed assets, investments, current assets, even the goodwill, whether it is taken over, not taken over, we should transfer to realization account. Cash and bank account, you are likely to open a separate account for that. So we are not going to transfer cash and bank balance to realization account at this point in time. Now your balance sheet may also have fictitious assets. For example, there may be debit balance in profit and loss account. Now this balance is not transferred to realization, but this balance is transferred to equity shareholders account. And very importantly, when you pass the entry, you are going to consider the book values of all these assets. So your entry will be realization account debit to sundry assets account at book values in the books of vendor company. So this is the first step. Now along with assets, we are going to transfer only outsiders liabilities to realization account. Who are the outsiders? All secured liabilities as well as unsecured liabilities, which may include loans, current liabilities, etc., are your outsiders liabilities. These liabilities are to be transferred at relevant book values. For example, the entry will be, in this case, outsiders liabilities account debit to realization account at book value. Now while doing so, we are referring to outsiders liabilities, and one has to be little careful to make a distinction between reserves, fund, and a liability. A reserve is an accumulated profit, it is not a liability. A fund is again accumulated profit, but accumulated for a specific purpose, which is usually invested outside the business for some specific purpose. And then in that case, that reserve is called as a fund. So one has to be careful to find out whether these reserves or funds are actually accumulated profits or whether these are in the nature of any specific liability. And based on that, this entry needs to be passed. So all outsiders liabilities, we are going to pass the entry at book value, outsiders liabilities account debit to realization account. Then in the balance sheet, you will have equity capital, you will have reserves, and you will have preference share capital. In this step, we are going to take care of these balances of capital and reserves. For equity capital and reserves, the entry will be equity share capital account debit, reserves account debit to equity shareholders account. You may have on the asset side some fictitious assets such as debit balance in P&L account or preliminary expenses or some deferred revenue expenditure. We have discussed earlier that these will not be transferred to realization account. So these are required to be transferred to equity shareholders. The entry will be equity shareholders account debit to preliminary expenses to debit balance in profit and loss account, etc. And if you have preference share capital, that will be transferred to preference shareholders account, the entry being preference share capital account debit to preference shareholders account. So far we have transferred assets, liabilities, capital balances, reserves, and fictitious assets to relevant ledger account. If you have cash and bank balance, you may open a separate ledger account and that will appear as an opening balance in your cash or bank account as the case may be. Now we move on to the next step, and that is recording of purchase consideration. We already had a detailed discussion on what is purchase consideration and how we have to calculate the purchase consideration. So now we are recording this purchase consideration. The entry will be purchasing company account debit to realization account. See here, this amount of purchase consideration is due from purchasing company. So we are supposed to debit the purchasing company account. And it is actually towards transfer of all assets liabilities put together, and therefore it becomes a consideration credited to realization account. So PC is recorded purchasing company account debit to realization account. Then there may be some sale of assets. For whatever sale of asset has taken place, the entry will be bank account debit to realization account. This entry will be recorded at the selling price of respective assets. One very important thing here, whether the asset is recorded in the books or whether it is not recorded in the books, sale of asset will require the same entry as we have just read. There may be a payment of liability, and in that case, the entry will be realization account debit to bank. Whatever is the actual payment to settle the liability, at that particular amount will record this particular entry. Again, like earlier in case of asset, whether the liability is recorded in the books or not recorded in the books, entry would still remain the same in this case. Then you may incur some liquidation expenses. The vendor company may incur some liquidation expenses. So there are two possible cases in this. One is liquidation expenses are paid and borne by the vendor company. In this case, the entry will be realization account debit to bank account. And the other possibility is that the expenses are incurred by vendor company, but these are subsequently reimbursed by the purchasing company. How do we account for this? We are incurring the expenses, so we have to credit bank account. Who is going to pay for these expenses? Purchasing company. So we will debit. So we will debit purchasing company account. So the entry is purchasing company account debit to bank account. Subsequently, you will recover the money from purchasing company. The entry will be bank account debit to purchasing company account. So depending on who is going to bear the expenses, there will be one of these two scenarios, and you can pass the entries depending on what kind of information is available. Now we have recorded PC. We have to account for discharge of purchase consideration. What do you mean by discharge of PC? The PC is the aggregate amount due from new company or from purchasing company. That may be in the form of monetary payment, or you will get equity shares, or you will get preference shares. So we have to record this breakup or discharge of PC. How will you record this? If you receive monetary payment, you will debit bank account. If you receive equity shares in purchasing company or preference shares in purchasing company, respective accounts need to be debited and the credit will go to purchasing company account. So our entry will be bank account debit, equity shares in purchasing company account debit, preference shares in purchasing company account debit to purchasing company account. So we have discharged the purchase consideration. Now we come to the settlement of preference shareholders. Now when you settle the balance of preference shareholders, you may give them preference shares in new company or purchasing company. You may even give them equity shares in purchasing company, or there may be a monetary payment. So this settlement is recorded as follows: preference shareholders account debit to preference shares in purchasing company to equity shares in purchasing company to bank account. So depending on settlement of preference shareholders, this entry will be passed accordingly. Now sometimes whenever you have a settlement with the preference shareholders, there will be either gain or loss. This gain or loss will have to be transferred to realization account. Suppose there is a gain, then you will pass the entry preference shareholders account debit to realization account as a profit. Now, why should we have a gain or loss here? The answer is very simple. Suppose the balance of preference shareholders is 5 lakhs, and against the balance of 5 lakhs of preference shareholders, suppose you are going to settle them with the issue of preference shares which are worth only 4.5 lakhs in the new company, then the vendor company is making a profit to the extent of 50,000 rupees. So you will have to account for this profit, and that will be transferred to realization account by passing the entry which we have discussed. In case the loss is incurred, you will debit realization account and you will credit preference shareholders account for accounting for loss in respect of settlement with preference shareholders. So these are the entries passed for accounting for settlement with the preference shareholders. At this juncture, you can find out what is the profit or loss on realization. And this profit or loss will be transferred to realization account. If you have a profit, the entry will be realization account debit to equity shareholders account. If you have a loss, the entry will be equity shareholders account debit to realization account. So whatever is the profit or loss on realization, that gets transferred to equity shareholders account. Now we are almost at the concluding part. The concluding part is to settle the accounts of equity shareholders. After settling the accounts of equity shareholders, the books of vendor company are effectively closed. All the ledger accounts are balanced and closed at this point in time. How do we settle make the final settlement of equity shareholders? You will offer them equity shares in purchasing company. You may offer them monetary payment. You can even offer them debentures in new company, or you may even offer them preference shares in new company. So, sorry. Based on this, we pass the entry equity shareholders account debit to equity shares in purchasing company account to bank account. This is how we settle the balances of equity shareholders. If you are giving them debentures or if you are giving them preference shares, there will be a slight modification and the entry will be equity shareholders account debit to equity shares in purchasing company to debentures in purchasing company to preference shares in purchasing company account to bank account, as the case may be. Once you pass this entry, the entire accounting in the books of vendor company is concluded. Now we will have a look at the accounting for amalgamation, again in the nature of purchase, but this time in the books of purchasing company. Now when you do this in the books of purchasing company, you need to understand few key points. Number one, all the assets and liabilities which are taken over are recorded at agreed values. So we must refer to the agreed values of assets and liabilities. If your purchase consideration is on net payment basis, then in that case, in some cases, purchase consideration may be more than the net values of assets, and this is known as a goodwill. So this needs to be debited to goodwill account. And if the purchase consideration is less than values of net assets, difference is credited to capital reserve. This will apply either goodwill or capital reserve of this kind only when your purchase consideration is on net payment basis. If it is based on net asset basis, you will not have either goodwill or capital reserve of this nature. Another important point is accounting for statutory reserves. Now, your vendor company may have a statutory reserve on its books. These reserves are created in accordance with some statutory provision, and these are required to be carried forward and maintained in the books for a specified period of time. If that period is not over, then you will have to reinstate these reserves in the books of purchasing company. So we need to keep in mind accounting for statutory reserves in the books of purchasing company if some legal requirements still continue. So we'll also consider accounting for these statutory reserves in the books of purchasing company. Now coming to the first stage of accounting, we are accounting for acquisition of business of vendor company. So we pass the entry business purchase account debit. This will be the amount of purchase consideration to liquidator of vendor company account. So the business purchase account is debited for the aggregate amount of purchase consideration which is payable to liquidator of vendor company. So we credit that amount to liquidator of vendor company. So the entry becomes business purchase account debit to liquidator of vendor company account. Then we record assets and liabilities which are taken over. So sundry assets account debit to sundry liabilities to debentures in vendor company to business purchase account is the basic entry. Goodwill and capital reserve will arise as a balancing figure if your purchase consideration is by net payment method. If the purchase consideration is by net payment method, you may have either balancing figure of goodwill or capital reserve as the case may be. When will you have a goodwill? If your amount of PC is more than the net asset values, you will have goodwill. And if the amount of PC is less than the net asset values, then it will be a capital reserve. So either goodwill or capital reserve account may be debited or credited as the case may be, depending on the scenario in this way. So this is the entry for assets and liabilities taken over. Then you have to account for statutory reserve. The entry will be amalgamation adjustment reserve account debit to statutory reserve account. So this is how we reinstate this reserve in the books of purchasing company. We debit amalgamation adjustment reserve account, which is a special account created for this purpose, and we credit statutory reserve account. Subsequently, when you prepare the balance sheet of purchasing company in liabilities under the head reserves and surplus, you will show statutory reserve account balance as reduced by amalgamation adjustment reserve account, which will have a debit balance. Then we have to account for discharge of purchase consideration. You are going to discharge purchase consideration by offering equity shares or preference shares or monetary payment, and this payment is directed to the liquidator of vendor company. So the entry will be liquidator of vendor company account debit to equity share capital, to preference share capital, to securities premium account if the shares are issued at a premium, to bank account. And if the shares are issued at discount, then we'll have to debit the amount of discount to discount on issue of shares account. So there are three possibilities of this entry. One, the shares are issued at par. Then you will not have discount or you will not have securities premium in the entry. If the shares are issued at a premium, the entry will be liquidator of vendor company account debit to equity share capital, to preference share capital, to securities premium account, to bank account. And if the shares are issued at discount, your entry will be liquidator of vendor company account debit, discount on issue of shares account debit to equity share capital account, to preference share capital account, to bank account. So this is how we record the discharge of purchase consideration. At times, you have the debenture holders in vendor company. You are supposed to take over their balances as part of this arrangement, and then you have to settle their account. Whenever you do so, you are going to pass the following entry. The basic entry will be debentures in vendor company account debit to debentures in purchasing company account to bank account. So if you are going to make the monetary payment, bank account will be involved. If you are going to make the settlement in the form of issue of debentures, then you will credit debentures in purchasing company account. So the basic entry will be debentures in vendor company account debit to debentures in purchasing company account to bank account. Now this may be an issue of debentures either at premium or at discount. If it is at discount, then we'll have to debit the discount to discount on issue of debentures account. If it is a premium, that will be credited to securities premium account. So your entry in case of discount will be debentures in vendor company account debit, discount on issue of debentures account debit, to debentures in purchasing company account to bank account if there is a part payment in bank. And if it is a settlement at premium, if the debentures are issued at premium, the entry will be debentures in vendor company account debit to debentures in purchasing company account to securities premium account to bank account if the part payment is made through bank. Now the purchasing company may have to incur some share issue expenses. If the share issue expenses are incurred, the entry will be share issue expenses account debit to bank account. It may also pay for liquidation expenses of the purchasing company. If the liquidation expenses of purchasing company are paid by the purchasing company, then you will make the payment to the vendor company towards these expenses. But you will not debit vendor company account. This is the additional cost of acquiring the business, and therefore it will be charged to goodwill account. So the entry will be goodwill account debit to bank account if purchasing company is going to bear the expenses on liquidation of the vendor company. Then we come towards the last stage. There may be a goodwill or capital reserve based on these accounting practices. Usually, there is a practice to set off this goodwill against the capital reserve. So if your capital reserve is sufficient or more to take care of goodwill, then we pass the entry capital reserve account debit to goodwill account. Once this entry is passed, the net balance of capital reserve, if any, will be shown in the books of purchasing company. If the goodwill is more than the capital reserve, then to the extent of capital reserve, you can set it off by passing the same entry, but only in this case, the balance of goodwill will continue to appear in the balance sheet of the purchasing company. So with this, the accounting for amalgamation is almost over. One step is left, and that is preparing the balance sheet of the purchasing company. Now, for preparation of balance sheet of purchasing company, the exercise is relatively simple. You already have the details of all assets which are taken over as per the entries which you have discussed. You also have details of liabilities which are taken over. You also have the details of issue of shares, issue of preference share capital or equity, either discount, premium, as the case may be. You also have details of debentures, etc., which are issued for this purpose. So based on this, you have to simply summarize them in the form of a balance sheet of the purchasing company, and that will become the opening balance sheet of purchasing company after you have concluded the process of amalgamation. This point of preparing the balance sheet will be more discussed in details, or will be more clear when we have next lecture recorded for problems and solutions on amalgamation. So till then, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I hope you found it useful also. So if you have any comments or suggestions, you can have my mail ID. You please write a mail to caprasanna.tambe@gmail.com. And if you have found this lecture useful, and if you would like to attend more video lectures of this kind on other topics, on problems and solutions, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel which you are watching now. You will receive all further updates when you subscribe to this channel. Thank you once again and wish you all the best.